The Ben Coley Podcast. Happy New Year! How are you? You're listening to the Ben Coley Podcast, and this is where I talk to you about my favourite new unsigned artists. I've got 3 great unsigned artists this week that I'm really into. And this is basically also where I talk about my favourite song of the week and my album of the week. But I'm switching it up a little bit for my album of the week this week. You'll see in a little bit. This is kind of a snapshot of the past week or so in music. So if you're like me and you love all different types of genres and you kind of just want to download everything because you're a fan of all different sorts of music, then consider this a quick pit stop where you can touch base with loads of different sounds, collect some new tunes, crack on and enjoy. A little bit before I start, if you've got any artist suggestions or questions for any new episodes, please hit me up on my socials. So that's _Ben Coley on Instagram or @BenColey97 on Twitter. I love it when you give me suggestions, and I've even had a couple of artists that have popped up to me and said, "Hey Ben, can you feature us on your podcast?" And sure enough, I enjoyed their music. So yeah, I featured them in this episode this week. In terms of copyright, all of the unsigned bands have been approached and I've asked them for full copyright permission, which they've given me. They're the sole creators and distributors of their music, and it's all okay. So it doesn't matter that I'm playing some of their tracks, and it means that you get more out of it and you understand what I'm talking about a little bit more. So yeah, this is episode number 4, first episode of 2020. Big things to come as well for this podcast. I'm just going to continue getting the content out there. I'm going to try and get some exclusive interviews here and there. I'm going to do some gig reviews as well. And I'm looking forward to seeing some amazing artists pop up. And there's going to be some great new music that pops up this year as well. So I can't wait to be talking about that. My first under the radar band that I want to share with you, not under the radar band, under the radar artist, is a guy called Ben Ramsey, or I should say the New Consistent. And he's a young talent from Worcester, which really isn't too far from me. I often go there for my haircut, just thought you might want to know that. And he's currently based in Birmingham, but it's pretty safe to say that he's doing something very different. So he actually popped up to me and said, "Hey Ben, I'd love to feature on your podcast." So I said, "Yeah, sure, okay." Gave it a little listen, and it really wasn't what I was expecting. First of all, when I saw The New Consistent as a name, I thought that was a band. Turns out it's Ben Ramsey delivering a really unique style of spoken word over very simple, minimal production, but it really works and it kind of grabbed me in a way that I wasn't expecting. So he released his EP called Individual Social Accounts and Commentary back in March of last year, and he managed to get none other than Austin Williams from Swim Deep to co-produce it for him. So, you know, he's clearly turning heads around the music industry. And the track that I'm going to talk to you about is Greta Otto, and it's a track that I personally really gravitated towards, but I quite liked all of the tracks off the EP, but Greta Otto in particular was sick. So it starts off with this real understated piano that's outlining some pretty simple chords, and it's just got bass notes that are following that, outlining it in a nice simple way underneath. And there's some kind of vocal samples at the start that are kind of echoing around, and a little bit of delay is on there as well. And at the start, you're not really too sure where the track's going, and it sounds a little bit kind of weird and uncertain, but then straight away, The New Consistent comes in with this real, unique spoken word style of delivery. It's unique to the sense that I haven't really seen it elsewhere. In terms of what I could liken it to, the most similar thing would be The Streets, but The Streets is a bit more rhythmical in its approach, whereas this is very much just guiding you through in kind of this spoken narrative. So it's quite a dreary and relaxed style of delivery, I'd say, but at the same time, Ben speaks with so much conviction and you're kind of anticipating what he's going to be saying next, and he takes you through his storytelling. So see what you think.
Are you sure you ain't like baiting out on me?
Why would I bait out?
Kid, are you sure you ain't like baiting out on me? Baiting out on me, 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 baiting out on me.
I sit in the driver's seat, but I feel like the passenger. Decisions out of my hands, you said to look after her. Powerless to my emotions, I can feel the red button. Yet I'll sit here and text you and avoid your favourite cousin. You're a strict parent and I'm the innocent child, giving me no option, so my thoughts compiled into a roadblock of sorts within my head. The irony of it all is our friendship at rest.
See what I mean? So it's very different right from the off, and it is one of those things that you're either gonna love it or not like it at all. It's one of those things that if you latch onto it, you'll really like it. But I fully understand as well that, you know, it is a very niche style. It's a style that I think I don't see elsewhere. So in my books, that's all good, because, you know, any artist that's doing a unique style like that is gonna be turning heads one way or the other. So over the verse that opens up, you kind of hear this drum machine that creeps in about halfway through. It's quite a busy bass drum that kind of interjects between the lyrics that Ben speaks. In the verse as well, you've just heard, he's kind of speaking about this strained relationship that he's got, and he actually said to me in an interview that Gretaroto actually means a butterfly with see-through wings. So he's talking about this relationship that kind of fails to kind of come into full fruition and deliver its true potential. And I love his just kind of colloquial, relaxed style of delivery. Here's the chorus. The synths kind of jump out a little bit more, and it's quite icy synths, but the production is still really sparse, quite minimalistic, so it makes a lot of room for his lyrics to kind of come to the fore.
You hide away from everything that's good for you.
Hide away
You gotta sort your shit out before I stop loving you.
everything
If neither of us are happy with each other on side,
good for you,
then maybe we should take time apart in our stride.
good for you.
You hide away from everything that's good for you.
Hide away
You gotta sort your shit out before I stop loving you.
everything
If neither of us are happy with each other on side,
good for you,
then maybe we should take time apart in our stride.
Whether or not you love this sound or not, what you have to appreciate is that the new Consistent has a real knack for creating these pictures and kind of guiding you through his life in a very everyday style sort of chat. And I think that's something that not many people are doing at the moment. And I think it's going to mean he stands out of so many other artists that are out there that are trying to break through. So I think if you focus more on what Ben's saying and how he's saying it, you'll definitely get a lot out of it, and it will definitely resonate with you in a certain way. So I caught up with the new Consistent a little bit earlier. Really interesting guy, and this is what he told me about his music.
Okay, so it was written around a time where I was we'd come out of the summer of 2018, which is obviously like our summer of love with the World Cup and all that. So life was kind of on a bit of a come down anyway, and I spent most of it with the mate who the song is about. So it was kind of, I'd got with a new partner, and it sort of created a bit of friction in the friendship. And so obviously we've gone from everything being great and, you know, England winning everything and just drinking loads and having a great time to sort of reality hitting in like the September time. And yeah, it both hit us kind of hard, and we kind of struggled, and we'd had our ups and downs as a friendship for ages, and the Gretaroto basically is the scientific name for a butterfly with see-through wings. So I kind of took that as being a metaphor for our friendship, because I thought a butterfly with see-through wings fails to fulfill its true beauty, which would be like a normal butterfly with, you know, full colouring and everything like that, because of its natural causes. And I kind of put that into the friendship, and you've got like a friendship that fails to grow and fulfill its potential because of someone's natural defects, I guess, natural, you know, things that they can't change, and just their personality, I guess. So yeah, it's quite a deep one really, but I remixed it again in the autumn to try and sort of add a new texture to it and add more, sort of develop the story of it really. But yeah, it's just about me and my best mate, to be honest.
Fantastic. So what are you up to at the moment then? What's going on right now? What are you working on heading into the new year? And as 2020 goes on, what have you got planned?
I've got the second EP, which is nearly done. And I've got the lead single of that to drop about springtime, I think. But I've come into 2020 with a new set of songs that I think are really, it's the first time I've been really proud of a set of songs. So it's going to be, year's going to be focused around dropping those, and I'm going to be trying to make a music video for each song on the EP as well, to really create like a proper world around it. And And obviously, I'm based in Birmingham, so I'm doing a lot of gigs in Birmingham, but I want to be branching out to like Manchester and London in the next couple of months. And then we're going to be doing a headline gig to coincide with the EP launch in summertime, and then a couple more tracks maybe towards the back end of the year. But yeah, I'm gonna focus it around this EP for the first half, and then see where that takes me. Really, I think.
It sounds like you've got a pretty exciting year ahead of you, which is really good to hear. And I'm right in saying as well that you've worked with a guy from Swim Deep, one of their guys that you worked with. Tell me about that.
So it was that track 3 years that I put the demo up on SoundCloud when that was like the first thing I ever did, and I just kind of sent it to everyone I could. And Ozzy from Swim Deep happened to pick up on it because I think he's from Worcester, so I think he kind of saw that I was from Worcester and was trying to do something, and he picked up on it and he liked it, and we got chatting from there really. And then I ended up going down to his in London, and we just recorded a few tracks. He'd been working, because I think it was the time when Swim Deep weren't doing too much, so he'd been working on just a few beats at home and stuff, and we just put a few bits together really. And it was just kind of like messing about, but he kind of gave me the confidence to see that I could do it, and now we've both kind of naturally moved on from that, obviously because it was about 18 months ago or so. But yeah, he was the one that kind of saw something in me and then made me see something in myself.
So the way I always like to finish off is, for someone who's never heard of your music before, describe what you do in 3 words.
Chilled hip hop, I guess.
Second band, and it's time for a bit of rock and roll! Atlas Run. And these guys are from Scotland. They're a 4-piece alt-rock group from Glasgow. So you've got Paul on vocals and guitar, Cameron on lead, Stefan, I've said that right, on bass, and Ryan on drums. And I think that they've got this real this knack for writing great hooks and layering their music in a way that not only sounds professional, considering that they'd be on a smaller recording budget, but it makes every song just sound so full, so rich. It just shows that they put some real thought into everything that they're doing. They released a new track called Better Off, which I really enjoyed. It's a bit of a sad one. They've got other tracks like D-Day that are a bit more uplifting. This one's definitely about, well, it is a sad song. It's about a relationship ending, but it just showcases everything that I think they're really good at. So let's get into it. It starts pretty much straight away with Paul's really captivating vocals. His accent really fits their sound, and he's just got such a kind of resonant voice. It just has a real great sound to it. I love his voice. And the band sound tight as anything behind.
You said you loved me for good. You were only my ceiling. Never have understood. Everything hurts my feelings. It's never clear what to do.
They sound good. They've got a bit of a father-son vibe to them. Obviously a bit of a Twin Atlantic vibe as well, because of course they're a huge Scottish rock band that no doubt they've taken influence from. But it's a really good chorus. Check this out.
Sometimes it's better to just move away. Pick up the pieces, then you start again. You think you're far too long on what to say now. Think we're better off this way.
It's satisfying. It is satisfying. It kind of makes way for a nice little lead guitar riff that you just heard, which is straight after the chorus, and it kind of acts as this nice little bridge or transition into the second verse. And it's just little things like that that bands will do that really shows that they're taking the time to craft a song and pad out a song quite nicely. And I love the like moody and dark chords that they use in the verse, but then it gets to the chorus and it's a bit more uplifting, and the lyrics reflect that as well, because the lyrics are basically speaking of being better off without someone, and knowing when to call it a day and knowing when to move on with your lives, and being in a good place about that. So I love the kind of the switch into the quite optimistic, uplifting chorus. Here's the middle eight or instrumental section, and it's complete with some kind of chiming guitars, some anthemic vocal arrangements. Whoa! You've heard it loads of times before, but it works. And there's the addition to this kind of phone handset dialing up sound effect that they put in. It's like this little phone drone. And it's a nice little transition into the final chorus. And the final chorus sounds huge. No nonsense, straight to the point. It's about 3 minutes long. They've just crafted a really nice alternative rock song. It's really heartfelt, and I think it's delivered by a band that have clearly got complete confidence in what they're doing. You can tell that they've really hit a stride with their songwriting. They're really comfortable in their sounds. They know what's up. They know what they're doing. I'm really looking forward to seeing what they go on to do. And I actually interviewed the band on Friday. I spoke to all of the guys. They're lovely, lovely chaps. And this was just before a gig that they were going to do up in Scotland.
Better Off, much darker than the other two that you've heard. Empty Room and D-Day are a lot more summery, a lot more kind of twinkly and lovely. Better Off and our next single, which will be Abstain, will be released early this year as well. A little bit more darker, a little bit more sort of alt rock. So it's going in a kind of colder direction. We've played them live a couple of times now, and they definitely go down really, really well. They're quite heavy, they're very energetic. The whole band just kind of, those two tracks are the kind of tracks where everybody's getting their back into it. It's a lot of emotion that gets outpoured, very angsty, but it's really exciting to play as well.
I've noticed that all of your tracks are really well produced. I love how they're put together. So who is it that produces your tracks? Who do you work with? And also, how do you go about putting together music videos that look really professional?
It's just about finding the right people, to be honest. The last few singles we've worked with Chris Marshall, who works out at 7 West Studios in Glasgow. We were discussing this earlier. We think he might be over recording in Japan for 6 months now. So I reckon his prices are going up. We can't afford them anymore.
Well,
but
that one of his records going gold recently is definitely going to bump the prices up.
Yeah, sure. He's recorded with a lot of artists that are kind of breaking. He records Jerry Cinnamon, who's obviously massive now. So that's a big credit to him, because kind of he was behind that album, making him sound so good. But yeah, he's so kind of works so in depth with us to find out exactly what we want, and it's a super natural way he records. It's like just fits us perfectly. Not going overboard with adding samples or anything like that. Just keeping it straightforward but making it sound really clean.
The thing that I think I really want to talk to you about is, how is it being a rock band sort of coming up through the roots in Scotland? Because obviously you've got some huge Scottish rock bands. You've got like Biffy Clyro, you've got Twin Atlantic and other people. So how do you find is there kind of a big appetite for rock music in and around Scotland, would you say?
So coming up from Scotland I imagine it's much the same. This is Ryan, the drummer, by the way. I imagine it's much the same as elsewhere, except you really need to make yourself stand out. You really need to go for the gigs that are a bit different, and you need to polish your sound and take care of your sound, because there's a lot of people who they half try around here, and it clogs the place up a little bit. But if you take the time and you take the effort and work on it to sound a wee bit different, I think that's why we stand out a little bit. We've went for gigs, things like Sailor Jerry. They did a pop-up gig, sort of in an old abandoned building up the loft, and that was great for us, because they actually did us a wee music video. They made us a vinyl pressing of a couple of our songs, and they gave us 200 copies or something like that. So that was great for us, and working with people like Sailor Jerry, it really helps to promote yourself just naturally. But keeping on top of your socials is huge up here. If you don't do that, you just slip through the cracks.
In terms of what's next for you guys, what's the plans moving forward? So you said you've got a gig tonight, and then moving on into the rest of 2020, what have you got in store?
Well, this is Tame here, the guitarist. I only recently joined. a year ago, wasn't it? Yeah, about a year ago. So I'm quite new to the group. I'm looking forward to 2020, which is going to bring a tour, hopefully. So the plan is to release our next two singles. Better Off has actually been released today. It's on Spotify, and we've made a nice wee lyric video that's also up and available on YouTube. And coupling that with a gig tonight, it's just going to, basically the plan is just to tour, promote these singles, and just advance ourselves in our career.
And here's a little tricky one to finish off on. I ask this to everyone that features on the podcast, and it sometimes trips people up. But for someone who's never heard of you before, describe your sound or describe your music in 3 words.
Oh, in 3 words. Authentic Scottish rock.
Okay, shout out to my mate Harrison, who recommended these guys to me. He popped up to me and said, Ben, check out Clear Vinyl. I checked them out, and they're sick. They're really, really good. So Harrison's not messing about. Clear Vinyl are a really great alt-pop, alt-rock band that have got such a professional sound. And in a similar way to Atlas Run, they're focusing a lot on their social media and how they come across online. So they're 5-piece from Sheffield, and it features Josh, James, Jack, John Joe and Sam, and they've spent the last year or so, or 2019, gigging and making a bit of a name for themselves, because BBC Introducing up in Sheffield recently ranked their track Foolish as their number 11 song of the year, which is a huge accolade, because I mean, you know, I'm sure if you're an artist, you're fully familiar with BBC Introducing. You know all about the BBC Introducing uploader, so you upload your tracks onto BBC Introducing. You get a little email saying, yes, we're going to listen to your track and be back in no time at all. Chances are they don't get back to you because they have so much through. So the fact that these guys have made that sort of impression up in Sheffield, which no doubt has loads of unsigned music, is pretty impressive. We're going to get straight into a track called You. The reason why I'm going for You is because it's their latest single that they've dropped. It's got a really neat professional music video that's come with it as well. And these guys make a heck of a sound in this song. So it's a fairly simple verse that makes great use of some nice vocal hooks in there. Shout out to whoever engineered the drum kit as well, because the drums sound really punchy. I don't know what they did to that kit, but it sounds colossal in the background. And the drummer's insane as well. He's got some really nice fills, drives it along really nicely. There's these crashing cymbals in the chorus. And this chorus that you're about to hear is one of my favourite choruses I've heard in a while. Regardless of whether or not you like the sound of these guys, you can't deny that this chorus is super catchy and they clearly know how to write a hook. Yeah, it's good stuff, and you can't deny that the songs that they're putting forward are just really well written. They've got a great sound, and if you're into your indie pop or you're into your indie rock, they're the sort of band that you want in your playlist, because it's going to come on next to other huge hard hitters like The Killers or Arctic Monkeys, and it's not going to sound out of place at all. And they seem to have quite a few likes on their social media as well. There's a lot of people really engaging with what they're doing. So I had a little chin wag with the band the other day, and they're top blokes, and this is what they had to say about all their music and what they're getting up to this year.
Basically, when we first started Clear Vinyl, we just finished our old project and we were reevaluating where we wanted to be with things. And I'd had a few ideas wrapped in my head for a while, and I just demoed them down on my phone. And everyone came around to my house for like a little, like almost like acoustic jam, to see whether or not what sort of thing we were going to come up with. And just it was the first song actually that we all sat down and we started playing together. Like, I literally just like jammed a few chords, and then John Joe and Sam picked up the guitars and just started jamming along with me, and we just came up with a song then and there on the spot. And after it took a couple of weeks to fine tune it, and then we took it to pre-pro. But yeah, it was the first song we ever wrote as a band, as Clear Vinyl. So, but we've been trying it for a long time, and we just thought now was the best time to release it.
Yeah, I absolutely love it, and it's just the production is so immaculate on it, and it's clear that you guys spend a lot of time getting it to sound right. Speaking of spending time getting things, making them sound good, speaking of production, as I speak to you right now, you're in the studio. What's going on there? What can you tell me about that?
We've been in the studio for the last couple of days with Callum Benson at Steel City Studios in Sheffield. We're currently, yesterday we spent doing bass and guitar, rhythm guitar. We already did our drums down in London with our producer Antonio, and then we sent them up here, and then we come in today to finish everything off. So today we're doing lead guitars and my vocals. So John Joe's just tracking lead guitars at the minute, and then I'm off to do vocals this afternoon.
And what is it? Is it going to be a new single that you're releasing, or is it an EP that you're working on?
Yeah, it's just going to be a brand new single. Should be released sometime in the spring. We've got quite a lot going on behind closed doors in the sense of what we want to achieve this year. So we're just laying the foundations now, ready to move forward in the spring. Fantastic.
And what's your creative process when you guys are in the studio?
I mean, it all depends really on like whether or not we're in the studio to record a single or not. It's like, so with our producer Antonio, sometimes we travel down to London and we'll spend the day in the studio, and we'll be sat there like just having a chat and have the acoustic guitars out, and we'll jam a few ideas, and if there's something we like the sound of, we'll sit and play around with it for a while, and then that'll be sent as a demo back up to us, so for all of us to sit and have a play with, and then we'll go to the rehearsal rooms, make sure we've got it to how we want it, and then we'll take it to the studio. And then there's other times where, like when we know we've got a song that we want to get ready for a release, we'll actually book time into a studio, go in, lay drums down, lay rhythms down, then bass, then leads, then vocals, and then anything extra.
In terms of live gigs, if people want to come and check you out, where are you gigging? When are you gigging? What's your sort of schedule looking like in 2020?
So for the time being, again, it's all under closed doors at the minute. We've had a few bits and pieces we've had to sort out. So we should be announcing gigs soon. We've just announced Bard Fest which is down south, for the 3rd, 4th and 5th of July. I'm not sure which date we're actually playing there yet. We're waiting on final details, but we've been announced for that. We're waiting on some responses for confirmations of other gigs, but as soon as we've got gigs, you'll be able to find them on facebook.com/Clear Vinyl Music. And then if you go to our Instagram as well, it's just Clear Vinyl. You'll find it all on there.
Love it. Now, for a final question, it's quite a tricky one, I know. It's putting you on the spot a little bit, but for someone who's never heard of Clear Vinyl before, describe your music in 3 words.
3 words. I knew there was going to be a catch. I knew full well. I had something in my head then just to say, and then like, no, it's 3 words. I'd probably go with fun, catchy, enjoyable.
Quite a little bit of music news this week. Justin Bieber has a new single out called Yummy. Are you not a little bit disappointed? I'm disappointed, if I'm honest. It just didn't really grab me. It kind of sucks. And the reason why I say that is, I feel like Justin Bieber, when you think of some of the tracks that he's capable of off like his album Purpose, they're so huge. They're such amazingly put together pop songs, and they leave no stone unturned. The production's amazing. They put so much effort in with all the melodies. With this new track Yummy, I don't really feel it. I don't really like the fact that the chorus is just yummy, 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 and they're just Justin Bieber's repeating the word yummy God knows how many times. It just seems a bit weak, a bit sickly. The production's good in places, but again, it's kind of just lacking. It's got this kind of trap style beat, but Justin Bieber's vocals just sound a bit lazy and it just sounds like it's just kind of been thrown together. I'm sure that's not the case. He's going to make millions off it, so it doesn't really matter what I think. But it just didn't really grab me, and I'll be interested to know what you think. In terms of some more news, and this is more for the emo lords out there, My Chemical Romance have been teasing a UK show. You know what? My Chemical Romance, I wouldn't necessarily sit down and listen to now, but I'd love to see them live. Don't tell me you haven't sat down and absolutely rinsed Black Parade. It's a good album. There's some really, really good songs on there, like Sharpest Lives. Obviously, the Black Parade's a great song. So there's no confirmed UK dates yet, but the band have shared a photograph of like a hooded figure, and he's wearing a skull mask, and it's been captioned with a Union Jack emoji. So it's definitely suggesting that they're going to be playing a UK date. It's going to sell out in minutes, so you might want to keep an eye out on their socials, because as soon as they announce when that's going to be, people are going to be flooding over to see tickets or Seatwave or whatever, and, you know, it's going to be gone in minutes. Okay, so my track of the week this week isn't actually from a signed artist. It's from an unsigned band, or at least a band that haven't got much of a following, called PVA. You've got to be quite specific when you search for these guys. You've got to be like PVA band /London when you search for them, and then they'll crop up, because otherwise you get loads of glue adverts. This is a track called Divine Intervention, and it was produced by Dan Carey, who has also produced the likes of Bat for Lashes and Black Midi as well. So he's produced Black Midi's Schlagenheim, which I think was one of the most exciting rock albums of 2019. I thought it was awesome. So PVA are a London-based dance trio. They've literally got 1,200 likes on their Facebook, so hardly anyone's really heard of them, which amazes me. So it features Ella, Josh and Louis, and they formed a house party a couple of years ago. And I'd say their sound is kind of characterised by this patchwork of synths, these industrial sounding drums at some stages, and there's also these real spiky guitar leads that come in as well. It's a very LCD sound system sort of vibe that they're going for, I'd say. Check out that song. Honestly, PVA, Divine Intervention, you'll really enjoy it. I haven't actually got a favourite album of the past week. I'm going to be dead honest. I haven't really found an album that I've enjoyed all that much. There's been a few albums here and there that I've listened to that have been okay, but I'm not going to sit here and flog an album to you pretending that I really enjoyed it when actually I didn't. That's not really the way I want to do this. But seeing as this is the first podcast of the new year, I thought that I'd give you some albums that I'm most looking forward to this year. First up, The Slow Rush. Of course, Tame Impala, Kevin Parker's little baby that he's got going on. This is my most anticipated album of the year. I don't know about you, but for me, this is an album that I cannot wait to hear. I'm going to be up first thing the morning after, streaming that, seeing what I think. I really hope that's going to be my album of the week that week, because from what they've released so far, it's looking that way. The 1975, I'm also really looking forward to their new album called Notes on a Conditional Form. Matty Healy originally said on the BBC Radio 1 interview that he wanted to release a brief inquiry into online relationships and Notes on a Conditional Form within a year of each other, but there's been a few delays on Notes. It's kind of taken a little bit more time to finish, but I think that's a good sign, because they're not a band that are just gonna, let a half-assed piece of work pass the mark. They're gonna see it through right to the end. Okay, so thanks for listening to episode 4 of the podcast. And if you liked any of the unsigned artists that I put forward to you, Clear Vinyl, Atlas Run, and the new Consistent, please go and check them out, go and follow them, go and check them out live as well, because they're amazing unsigned artists, each in their own right. So you can check out all of their music and the links to their socials down in the description. Yeah, you'll just see it underneath their names. Catch you next time.
The Ben Coley Podcast.